price up to 9 million yen, because it'll be at least slightly negotiable, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
And then age of construction, with condos, on purchase, we want them to be 30 years or younger so that you can consider reselling them by the time they get close to 40, which is when the building fees will start going up a bit more rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And up to 10 minutes walk from the station. And the only other thing is we don't want leasehold, so ownership. Yeah. And the rest of it, I wouldn't worry too much about because those other filters are becoming a bit too specific. Anything that's a condo unit will be concrete in any case, so you don't need to worry about the build, number of units, all of that. So now I get a list of properties and then I just go by city, right? So
Okay.
let's see. Here's one in Kobe. Hi there, folks, and welcome back to Nippon Trading International's Japan Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Ziv Nakajima again, and this podcast is brought to you, among others, by Emil Gorgis of realestate.jp. He's a Tokyo real estate agent who specializes in serving international or mixed nationality families who are looking for the perfect family home. So Emil's an Australian. He's been living here in Japan for over 2 decades now, and for about half of that time he's been buying, selling, and managing real estate properties in Tokyo on behalf of his own family and a great many happy clients. And he also acts as a mortgage broker on behalf of his clients. So he's got dedicated loan officers in many of the Japanese mega banks. And if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you probably already know him from our JREP, the Japan Real Estate Experts Panel sessions, which means that you're already aware of the fact that the man is an absolute fountain of wisdom on all things related to real estate in Japan, and in particular to family homes, the greater Tokyo metropolitan area, and mortgages. And most importantly, he's incredibly generous with his time and advice, which he's more than happy to provide at no cost or commitment to anyone asking. So if you've been thinking about buying your home in Tokyo, but you've been sitting on the fence for a while, or you just want to have a chat in English with a real expert, drop him a line on sales@realestate.jp. Hit him up today and start exploring your options. All right, so first off, what a weekend. Big thank you and a hug to all of you who joined us at the Tokyo International Forum last weekend, as well as the dozens of you who were with us in the streaming room, actively networking, asking and answering questions, and tuning into the phenomenal presentations. Our speakers and sponsors rocked it, as always, and in particular, all of our new speakers, Matthew Kyle from WeConnect, Chai Kanda from Shiki Properties, Hidoshi Shimizu from Japan Immigration and Corporation Experts, Brett Lee and Shu Matsuo. Speaking of Shu and also of Alicia from Axolotl Capital, these two were the most popular speakers at the summit, hands down. When they took the conversation to the breakout room, which is supposed to be the smaller, more intimate session, that tiny little room was packed to full capacity, standing room only and then some, to the point where we're seriously considering to host their breakout rooms in the main hall moving forward, which just goes to show that the topics they're discussing and their expertise were definitely very well appreciated and the right bet as far as the Japan Real Estate Summit is concerned. Of course, all of the other usual suspects rocked it as well, and the presence of our only sponsors who couldn't make it in person this time around, Kaku Accounting, was very much felt. The amount of questions and inquiries related to accounting, bookkeeping, and financial services that we had to simply reply to with let me refer you to Kaku-san, were huge. So I felt like I was repeating myself on that one to no end. So Asumi-san and Ayaka-san from Kaku Accounting Services, you'd better be available in October for the next summit. We will not take no for an answer this time. Also, another huge thank you to Robert Miller from Innovatious.com, our website design and social media management sponsor, who gave us a short introduction of his company and their services right after the lunch break on the first day. Robert, you're our OG sponsor, the very first one we brought on, aside from Emil and realestate.jp, who are a part of the organizing committee. And we're very grateful for your support over the last couple of years. And moving forward, you rock. So yeah, we'll have an official debriefing session to discuss our lessons learned and ideas for improvement moving forward, as well as, of course, start mapping out the October event as much as we can in advance. That'll be happening and recorded for you over the next couple of weeks. And the full photos gallery, presentation videos, slide decks, as well as the event's highlights reel, which is always good fun to look at as well, will also all be ready for you shortly as soon as editing is done. So watch this space. All right, so getting back into our usual pace and routine, today's episode is once again two back-to-back conversations, one in video format and one audio only. Both of these are with first-time buyers who are looking at purchasing their first investment properties here in Japan, both on a fairly modest but not too miserable of a budget. The first one is with a buyer on a budget of about 10 million Japanese yen, all costs included, and he's originally considered purchasing specifically in Osaka City, but we also discussed some other locations and how attractive those might be, and he wanted to know how to actively research potential listings. So we do a hands-on research tutorial on Rakumachi and Kenbia, the two largest Japanese property investment web portals, on which we talk filtering search criteria with some caveats on non-searchable criteria like floors, elevators, and then fine-tuning the distance to station rule as well, which is crucial here in Japan. We also talk about how to deal directly with listing agents, with traditional Japanese listing agents as a non-resident foreigner buying in Japan, and about the potential need for a buyer-side proxy or foreigner-friendly agent, and then how to put those numbers that we've gathered and the data into a spreadsheet for more accurate deal analysis, how to recognize which properties are tenanted, what's known as owner change investment properties here in Japan, and how to use our consulting services to cover all bases during the purchase process itself. So a really good hands-on session on investment property research and analysis. You might want to hop over to our YouTube channel for this one if you want to see what we're actually doing on the screen as we speak. We'll link to the video in this episode show notes, of course. Enjoy this very informative session, and I'll see you again on the other side right before we get into the next call. So don't go away. Cool. So I just went through your WhatsApp message. I'll just answer the questions you have written first, and then we'll take it from there. So 50 to 80K Australian, I'm assuming, yeah, not US?
Yeah, probably a maximum of 100. Yeah, Australian dollars.
Okay, and that's straight out investment property in the sense of a long-term tenant, or are you
Yeah,
looking
correct.
for? Okay, so
Yep.
no Airbnb or monthly or anything fancy.
Nope.
Okay, well, that definitely would buy you within the outskirts of Osaka as well, I think. Yeah. Is that 100 including purchase cost or just the property listing
Yeah, I would
price?
think, yeah, all up, all up.
All up. So that's about 85 for the listing itself.
Okay.
8.5 million. Yeah, that will definitely buy you something in outskirts of Osaka. Whether that'll be the best place to hit or not will be on a case-by-case basis.
Yep.
But from the locations you've mentioned in Kyushu, the only city I would go for, well, you haven't mentioned them, but the only city that I would go for in Kyushu would be Fukuoka or Kumamoto.
Okay.
And you can, again, you can buy into both of those cities, not super central Fukuoka, but otherwise you can buy into both of those cities at this budget as well.
Yep.
The rest of the cities are decline. Kitakyushu is definitely declining in population. So is Nagasaki. Kagoshima and Miyazaki, I haven't checked for a while, but if you give me a second, I'll quickly
No problem.
run population census. Give me a sec. Where are you? Oh, here we go, 2020. So this is the population census as of 2020. They release them every 5 years. We haven't received the 2025 one yet.
Okay.
Or actually, I haven't checked. Maybe it is out. But Kagoshima-shi has been losing about 1.5% of population between 2015 to 2020.
Okay.
Gone down from about 600,000 to about 593 at the moment. I mean, it's still a big enough city, but I mean, anywhere with a downward trending population is going to be a bit more difficult to tenant when it gets empty.
Yep.
And Miyazaki-shi, where are you, Miyazaki-shi? I think as of 2015, it was actually gaining in population, but I haven't checked it in 2020. We don't see that many deals out of Miyazaki.
Okay.
But hang on, Miyazaki. She? Oh, there it is. stagnant, I would say. It's almost hasn't changed in population at all. Like it lost about 450 people, not lost, sorry, gained
Okay.
450 people between 2015 to 2020.
Yeah.
Um, it's medium slash small in size, but maybe not a bad place to hit. But Fukuoka and Kumamoto are probably better, I think. They got
Yeah.
more industries and stuff going for them.
I guess,
And
yeah. I guess I'm not 100% has to be Kyushu. I guess it's going to be end up being what's the best investment. Um, yeah, it's just because I'm a bit more familiar with Kyushu, I suppose. I've been there a couple of times. But yeah,
yeah, I
any
mean
other
that's how we
cities?
usually take it. I mean, we look for the best deals in any city that has, stable or growing population, and could be. And we can definitely include Miyazaki, but otherwise, yeah, Fukuoka, Kumamoto, if it's Kyushu. Kobe specifically, I was surprised to recently find is actually losing population. I haven't checked it since 2015, and then when I did, it's actually as of about half 0.6% a year it's losing between 2015 to 2020, but it's still almost the same size as Fukuoka, about 1.5 million people. So of the places that are not gaining in population, that's probably one of the better ones to potentially hit.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, Yokohama City, Saitama City, Chiba City, if you want to stay near Tokyo.
Okay.
Maybe Nagoya, the tenants are a bit rougher there, blue collar, but it is a city with good yields. Kyoto, if we see anything coming out of there, it's usually more townhouses and Airbnbs and stuff.
Yep.
And then Sapporo, if we can get higher yield, because the winters will eat into your expenses there.
No problem.
Now, websites that specialize in apartments for long-term rentals, you mean in investment properties that you can buy or that you can rent?
Yeah, that I can buy. I had a quick look at Rakumachi just
That's the
briefly,
biggest
and
one. Yeah.
it is okay. I was mucking up some of the filters, but I couldn't find anything in the price range that was sort of newer than 40 years old. So maybe I was
Um,
just doing something
when you
wrong.
look at, let me share my screen and I'll show you where you probably went wrong. It took me a while to figure it out too.
Okay.
So, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this one here, which translates to investment apartments,
Hmm.
um, is usually going to be the filter that you want to turn on. So, for example, if I would be searching, um, I just start with a simple filter like the yield. And the
Hmm.
yield that you see on these property listings, if it's condo units, you should take that down by about 4 or 5%.
Okay.
So I start at usually at 8% or more,
Hmm.
and then I go for condo units, uh, price up to 9 million yen because they'll be at least slightly negotiable, hopefully.
Hmm.
And then age of construction. With condos, on purchase, we want them to be 30 years or younger so that you can consider reselling them by the time they get close to 40, which is when the building fees will start going up a bit more rapidly.
Hmm.
And up to 10 minutes walk from the station. And the only other thing is we don't want leasehold, so ownership. Yeah. And the rest of it, I wouldn't worry too much about because those other filters are becoming a bit too specific. Anything that's a condo unit will be concrete in any case, so you don't need to worry about the build, number of units, all of that. So now I get a list of properties and then I just go by city, right? So
Okay.
let's see. Here's one in Kobe. Uh,
With this price range, is it typically a 1 LDK or 1
one R,
LD?
1K, one LDK,
1K?
but sometime like see this one on the left here. If it's a
Yep.
smaller city or in Sapporo, for example, where they have, I guess, maybe more room to build, I'm not sure what the reason is, you'll sometimes find family-sized units. Oh, here in Kobe as well, I see. This one looks like a family-sized one.
Hmm.
Um,
So
I
you're
would
saying that return that you see 11% or 9%, you got to take 3 or 4% off that, or
more like 4 or 5%. Yeah.
okay,
Because they don't factor in the purchase costs and the property management costs.
okay, no worries.
And then when you actually drill down into them, if you see something that's third or fourth or fifth floor in a building that's less than 6 floors, like this one, for example,
Mm-hmm.
just make sure it has an elevator because fourth and fifth floor in a building without an elevator is very challenging to populate, considering Japan's population is going to be a lot of elderly folks or
Yeah.
single moms or single parent households. Those kind of people don't like to walk up and down huge flights of stairs.
Does it list if it's got an elevator or not on the description?
If it has an elevator, it would usually say it in the listing because it's like a bonus feature.
Okay.
But some of them just forget to put it in. So that's something we'll have to check on a case by case basis if it does or not. If we look at
Okay.
this one, for example, doesn't specify as far as I can tell. No. So probably not, but it's possible that they just forgot to note it. So that's something that we'll have to confirm.
Sure.
Yeah. And then
Is
just,
that something
just
that I can reach out to the listing, or can I have a go at that myself, or is that something that would need to
you can always
get?
have a go at it yourself, but I don't like your chances as a non-resident foreigner.
Yeah.
Not a lot, vast majority of the listing agents are more traditional Japanese types. The one who are not will publish on the English websites, but they usually focus on, the kind of properties that they want to sell specifically.
Hmm.
So you can try, but you'll probably find that in more than half the cases, you're just ghosted or ghosted after a few messages when they recognize it's too complicated in English.
Yep.
ChatGPT makes things a little bit easier, but still, once they figure out that, your name and your residence are not native Japanese, a lot of them will just back out.
Yep.
So I just scourged the list. Like, how many did we get here? We got 55. So of those 55s, most of them will be in smaller towns, but a few of them will be in, like we saw here, Kobe. I'm sure there'll be, you're near Shinosaka Station. Here we go. So that's Osaka City itself.
Hmm.
And they're all built like we filtered the year of build, so you don't need to worry about that. Just make sure, like this one looks quite interesting. Where was that? No, the one near Shinosaka. This one, third floor of 12. So we know there is an elevator, 8-minute walk to Shinosaka Station. So anybody who needs Shinkansen access would be happy to rent this one,
Hmm.
which is where the Shinkansen stops. Barring any due diligence info about the building, like renovation history, reserve fund, make sure that it's not, that building fees are not going to suddenly be doubled or tripled next year. But otherwise, that looks interesting. The Kobe ones look interesting. You'll probably see a bunch in Yokohama too. That's where we often see some of the cheaper ones. Here's one in Fukuoka City. So yeah, just go through the
Yeah.
list once you filter it that way. Make sure that you're ticking the orange one, which is condos,
Hmm.
and you should find a bunch of them. And then if you want to purchase, then you either need a Japanese proxy like ourselves
Hmm.
or a foreigner-friendly English-speaking agent. I'm happy to put you in touch with one of those. With or without us consulting on the purchase is up to you. We can hold your hand and make sure the agent does the proper due diligence for a few $100, or I can just leave you with them. We don't charge for introductions or anything like that.
Okay. Is that a buyer's agent? Is it
Buyer side agent, yes.
buyer's
So
agent?
some of the listing agent will not want to share their commission with the buyer side agent.
Hmm.
In which case, if you really like the property, you'll have the option to pay them separately. In that case, it'll be double the realtor fee that it usually would be,
Okay.
which is still worth it if the property is good enough otherwise.
Yeah. Cool. I guess, do you guys have a template of um, the, I guess, purchase costs and also ongoing costs? I have been listening to a few previous podcasts, but I don't have anything sort of in writing, just so I've got a summary of like all the different, I guess, owners,
Um,
union, building management.
we we do, but the numbers change a little bit depending on the price of the property. So
Hmm.
I'll quickly run you. I'll send you the file, but let me first just show it to you on the screen and then quickly run you through it.
Okay.
So let me stop sharing that for a minute. And 2025, no, 2024. December property research sheet. Just see if there is some investment properties in there. Yes, okay. So let me, geez, our staff have way better eyesight than I do. They minimize all the text there. I gotta bring it back to GSUN levels. Okay, so I'll close that and I'll share this screen. So this is what you'll see in the sheet that I'll send to you. You seeing this?
Yeah, it's coming through now.
Okay. So this is an entire building. It's a bit less interesting for us. Oh no, these are all entire buildings. Wait, no, sorry about that. Let me open a different file. Hang on.
Oh, good.
It's also all buildings. Jeez, I guess we're only dealing with rich clients recently. Hang on. October property research. If you've been listening to the podcast, you probably recognize I've been doing mostly consulting recently as opposed to full purchase facilitation just because we can't handle it. So we don't do that much research anymore. We send, oh, there we go. There's one. We let the agents do that for us because they do it for free. Whereas if it's me, I have to deduct it from the hourly retainers. Okay, but here are some samples. So these are from back in October, but still similar properties. So now, here's some big news for anyone interested in Akiya, the abandoned vacant homes that are abundant all around Japan for very attractive purchase prices. AkiyaMart, our latest sponsor, is a recently founded online search and discovery tool for Japanese real estate. Its user interface will be very familiar to users of Zillow or Redfin. The platform essentially scouts the internet for property listings, translates them into English, and displays prices in US dollars, all in one place and with a dynamic map interface that makes browsing, finding, and shortlisting your favorite properties a piece of cake. Which any of you who have been struggling with the dozens, if not hundreds, of Japanese property websites that are available online and their very clunky interface will probably find a real blessing. They've got already over 500,000 listings on the platform, and the database is expanding daily. Ranging from abandoned rural homes to luxury urban properties, AkiyaMart makes it easy to find your dream home in Japan, regardless of your budget. Now, while the platform is essentially free for use, here's an exclusive offer for listeners of the podcast. You can use the promo code NTI to receive $5 off AkiyaMart Pro. The subscription will unlock a bunch of very attractive features for you, including unrestricted access to the entire nationwide property database and a whole range of filters, which will help power charge your search for that elusive perfect home and make it even easier. So hop over to akiya-mart.com. That's AKIYA-MART, akiya-mart.com, and kick off your search today.
Yep.
We put the listing price here, the rental price here, the management fee, and the reserve fund contribution, which are the two Buddy Corp fees that you pay every month.
Yeah.
And then here we put in 10% plus the minimum realtor commission, which is 3% plus 60,000 yen plus tax, with the minimum being for an 8 million yen property. So rather than put in the whole formula, we just make it 10% plus 330,000 yen, which is the minimum that they'll charge for any property under 8 million yen, which is probably most of what you'll be looking at. Plus, if they want us to fully represent them, we also put in our minimum fee for condos. We're not doing that at the moment, so let's take that out. And instead of that, we'll put in, just in case you will want us to consult, our 66,000 yen, which is what we charge for consulting.
Okay.
And then insurance is like a bit of a complicated formula. This part of it is for the earthquake and fire insurance. This part of it is for the landlord insurance in case a tenant dies in the property, which can happen a lot in Japan because they're old. Divided by 12 months. So don't worry about how that's calculated. Just it'll calculate it for you. So that's approximately how much you'll be paying monthly for insurance. It's always going to be peanuts. I mean, for insurance, you normally pay on a condo unit, you normally on an older, cheaper condo unit like these, you normally pay something like 30, 40,000 yen for a 5-year policy.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not going to break the bank. Property management is here. It's always 5% plus tax of the rental income, of the gross rental income.
Okay.
Body corp fees is just adding this one and that one together, right, per month. And then if you need us to manage the property for you, because the property managers you'll be working with for long-term leases are going to be mostly traditional Japanese. So you'll need a proxy like us.
Yeah.
Or somebody that you just hire on an hourly basis yourself, but that probably ends up being a bit pricier, I think. Whatever the case. So somebody to manage the portfolio for you or manage the property managers for you. We charge a 1 monthly hour. If you only hired us for consulting and not full facilitation, the hourly price is this. So taking all of that into account, it's just a total of the purchase price plus the purchase costs, with the annual returns divided by that, and that gives you the annual yield before tax. So it includes all of the known purchase costs and management costs that you've seen here. It doesn't include unknowns like vacancy expenses, maintenance expenses. I can give you some rough numbers on that, but since you're just going to be buying 1 or 2 small properties, that statistic can be hugely skewed. So best put that aside, but you can assume roughly 10% of the net income to be put aside for maintenance and vacancies.
Okay. Cool. And
I'll send you a copy of this Excel sheet, and then whenever there's a new listing you're looking at, just put in the details here just for your own reference. We also give them a property ID, but that's up to you. Most importantly, put in those numbers here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll automatically populate here. If the property is a bit more expensive, how many? No, only have 2 in this sheet. Sorry. If the property is a bit more expensive, then the purchase costs could be a bit higher. Let's say the property was just for the sake of testing. Let's say the property was 12 million yen. You're probably not going to be at that level, but just in case, not 1.2, 12 million. In that case, instead of the agent fee that you see here, we'd be putting in plus purchase price, like the actual realtor formula, not the minimum. So 3% of the purchase price plus 60,000 yen plus tax, so times 1.1. But I mean, at your price levels, those are minute differences because the minimum realtor fee applies all the way up to 8 million yen, and the most you'll be looking at is 8.5 million yen. So you can just leave it, like in this case, you can just leave it on 330-ish.
Yeah. Okay. And the tax, because there's a minimum tax threshold, it wouldn't be
on a single property like that. No, you wouldn't be paying any taxes because the minimum reporting threshold in Japan is 485,000 annual.
Yeah.
So about 4.9 thousand Australian, and that's net taxable income. So you'll be claiming all of the purchase costs, the management costs, carry them forward for a few years. So on 1 or 2 small properties, you're going to be tax-free. In Japan, you still need to report your income in Australia.
Yeah. I think I need a better tax accountant in Australia before I kick all this off, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to make a huge difference to your bottom line. What, like $4,000 a year?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I guess at the moment, I'm just trying to diversify a little bit, just looking at different options. I did run into you in that cafe in Fukuoka.
Yeah.
When was it? In October. So I think back then I was just looking at Akiya or just a holiday home, but I'm thinking more of an investment play at the moment.
Okay. Well, with condo units, depending on the building, you maybe potentially would have the option to rent it out by the month. You wouldn't be able to Airbnb in a building, but if you rent it out by the month, then maybe you can use it when you're staying if it's not occupied, and then by the month but it's not going to be the ideal investment property. I would also be like you're saying, I would focus on pure investment, and when I buy a holiday home, focus on the holiday home. Otherwise, you're kind of compromising on either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my thinking as well. Um, cool. I'm just going to see if I've got any other questions jotted down. After booking in your call, I've been listening to a fair few podcasts, so a lot of the information I got from a couple of the podcasts with Joey and Take. I think he did that about July last year. Um, it was more, yeah, around the Rakumachi. Is there any other websites that are worth looking at?
Kenbia is the second big investment one. That's the one. Oh, sorry. That's the one that I actually showed you on the screen now. I thought I was showing you Rakumachi. So I'll send you the link to that one.
Can be, okay.
Yeah.
Do they list the same properties or different properties, or sometimes?
A lot of the same, but occasionally there'll be some that only show on one or the other.
Okay.
Let me just quickly look at Rakumachi just to make sure that the filter, I haven't searched there for a while, but just to make sure that the filtering
Yep.
isn't very different. Oh, Rakumachi is not coming up. What's up, Rakumachi? Ooh, major website down.
Too many
Oh no,
people
here it is.
buying
Here it is. No,
investment
no, it
properties.
showed up, showed up. So let me quickly share that just so I show you how to search on that one too, although they should be fairly similar.
Okay.
So here again, I will start with yield. Yield here. 8% or more, same kind of calculation. And then the filter here would be from memory. E2B, that's probably this one. Let's see. No. This one. No. Oh, sectional condominium. Sorry, this one.
Okay.
Yes, I think
Yeah,
that's the one.
I don't think I selected that.
Yeah, 8% or more. Age of construction, again, no more than 30 years. What did I do? Is that no? Up to 30? Yeah, no more than 30. No, up to 30 years. Sorry. Ignore me. Less than 30 years. There we go. Yeah, that brought it down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing is, again, within 10 minutes walk to a station. You can make it 15 minutes if you want, but then you'll have to more carefully manually filter, because 15-minute walk to a big station like Tokyo Station or Hakata Station here in Fukuoka is okay.
Yeah.
But if it's a smaller station, I'd stick within 10 minutes if possible.
Okay.
And that
Is
gives us
that fairly
137.
accurate from your
I would
research?
double check it on Google Maps. Some of the agents tend to
Yeah.
be lean a bit more towards optimistic, but
Mm-hmm.
oh, the only other thing, sorry, I forgot to mention, when you do actually click, because that's not a filter, as far as I know, that's not a filter that you can, yeah, that filter doesn't exist. So what you want to do is check each of those listings to see whether it's currently tenanted or not, right? So on Sumo and At Homes and the other websites, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
But on Rakumachi and Kenbia, it's always very clear because those are investment properties and investors want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get to know this kanji after a while. That's the one you're looking for. That means tenanted.
Okay.
The English translation will say for rent.
Okay.
Okay. If it's vacant or occupied by owner, which is going to be a different kanji, I would only consider it if it's super central and you know that you'll be able to find a tenant like within a month or two. Otherwise, you're buying straight into expenses. I mean, there is a bit of an advantage to buying vacant in the sense that you know that the interior is going to be in good shape. Whereas if you buy something that's tenanted and the tenant's been in there for, I don't know, 10, even 20 years, which is not uncommon in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
then that means a pretty big expensive renovation when they move out.
Yeah. I guess how do you know that
Ideally, I'd go for a tenant who's been in place for somewhere between a year to 3 years. Then I know the interior hasn't deteriorated since it was last renovated, but it's already generating income.
Is that information available? How long it's been
Only
tenanted?
once we speak to the agent.
Okay.
Not on the listing itself.
Yep. Okay.
And the kanji would be the same kanji on Kenbia as well.
Okay, no worries.
You're looking for this one. This kanji means the easiest thing to remember. This kanji means
Naka?
chu or naka, yeah, something
Sure.
which is inside, right? So in this case, it's there's a tenant inside.
Okay, no worries.
What else can I answer for you?
So that's did you put a price filter on there then? Because that was like 10.9 million yen, wasn't it? That one that you just
Oh yeah, I didn't put a price filter on that
Okay.
one. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no worries. No, I don't think I've got any other questions. It's given me a good start, and I think I've got enough information for the moment. If you could, yeah, send through the template, and I'll play with some numbers as well and start.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I'll
start
send
my
you the one
research.
we just looked at. It's got a couple of properties in it, but you can just delete everything and just do whatever you want with it.
Sure.
I just sent that to you on WhatsApp now.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, when you're ready to pull the trigger, just let me know if you want us to just introduce you or if you want us to stay on and consult, and I'll kick off a little chat group with the agent who'll be able to help you. If you're focusing specifically on Kyushu, I'll go for a good Fukuoka-based agent that I know. Anywhere else in the country, the foreigner-friendly agents that I'd recommend are usually based in Tokyo.
Okay.
We got some good agents that we work with in Osaka, Kyoto, who can speak English, but they each focus on their favorite kind of property. They're not very open to whatever you want kind of thing, only if it's worth their while. So the more flexible ones that are also bilingual are usually based in Tokyo. Fukuoka, we got one or two as well.
So if the property was in Kobe or Osaka, you'd still engage the agent from Tokyo. Is that what you're saying? Like
Correct.
Yeah.
Especially if you're buying a tenanted property, you can't enter a tenanted property in Japan. So it's not like anybody has to go there for a viewing.
Yeah.
And even if you were buying vacant, then we've got agents that we can hire by the hour just for the viewings who are based in Osaka and can go out to Kyoto, Nara, those kind of places. So working with a Tokyo-based agent is the same as working with us. It wouldn't make a difference on your bottom line. I mean, there might be one trip where they have to go to Osaka to sign the contract, but that's a few $100. It's not going to break the bank.
And if there happened to be a property that wasn't tenanted that looked attractive, would it be possible to organize a viewing like through the agent?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I guess unless you're focusing only on Fukuoka, I'll put you in touch with a Tokyo-based agent, I guess is what I'm saying. Not Fukuoka, I mean Kyushu.
Okay. No problem. I'll keep searching. Thanks for your time, Ziv.
My pleasure. Good luck. It's exciting.
Thank
I
you.
haven't searched for investment properties in a while.
Cool. Have a good time on your business trip.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Now, if you've attended any of our recent JREP Summit events in Tokyo or online, you've probably heard our sponsor, Robert Miller from Innovatious.com. He's been in web solutions here in Japan for the past 25 years, and he's also an active investor in Japanese real estate property, as well as global online property, which is his specialty and what his company Innovatious is all about. They offer a full suite of website services for entrepreneurs and small business owners, including all aspects of web design and management, backup and updates, content formatting and editing, proactive maintenance and error fixing, you name it, with a strong focus on SEO excellence, which is what gets you those hardcore top-of-the-list search engine rankings. But there is a difference. Innovatious works off a simple, all-inclusive monthly subscription model, as opposed to the typical outdated and confusing project model. So you never have to wonder how much any request for any work to be done on your website might cost. It's always $497 per month. And if that's not enough, if you've mentioned you've heard of their services on the Japan Real Estate Podcast, you'll also get 10% off this monthly price for life. Also, and equally important, if not more, you can try out Innovatious for just 1 month, then switch them off, on again later if you want, and so forth. There are no minimum subscription terms. Now, if you're a small business owner, managing and growing a website is super distracting and time consuming, right? That's exactly where Innovations comes in. Robert's team takes care of all of that for you so that you can focus on what you do best. So feel free to email Rob on robert@innovatious.com, and his team will conduct a full SEO and website audit on your site, reveal anything that you should address to increase your website's appeal, and provide you with an easy-to-read detailed report with your own branding so that you can make some informed decisions on your online strategy and watch your business grow as you implement it. So once more, robert@innovatious.com. Drop him a line and get your website reviewed today. So there you have it. Nice little breakdown of the listings review and deal analysis procedures that we normally follow with the listings that we look at on behalf of clients and for our own portfolio, of course. Whether those listings are found on Rakumachi and Kenbia, elsewhere online, or even if received directly from an agent that we've worked with in the past, the data that we review and the analysis process itself are pretty much always the same, so very useful session there. Now, for this second call, audio only again, this is an interesting one. It's with a client who signed up for our services about 8 years ago, back in the days when yield and ROI were much higher and our own fees much lower. Unfortunately, he couldn't purchase at the time. He went off the radar for a while, only to come back now with a vengeance just recently. And so we have a unique perspective when talking to him of what happened here in the market in those last 8 years. And we talk more basic stuff with him, what to look for in an investment property, how we handle management remotely on behalf of our non-resident clients all over the country, how much things cost these days, and that includes our fees, but also annual taxes, insurance, property management, and more. We segue a little bit to chat about public auctions and court foreclosures, which do exist in Japan, but might be a bit different to what you're used to overseas if you're active in this market. Who's eligible for investment loans from local lenders and how do these work? How to determine your own personal purchase criteria, and also a bit about remitting funds into and out of Japan. So a really good, less nitty-gritty, but more of a macro view of the property investment market here and how non-resident foreigners can get access to it. I hope you find some value in this one as well, and I'll see you one last time on the other side. Yep. So I think 10 years ago, right? You were talking about an investment property at the time, from memory?
I mean, time flies, huh? Time flies. You know, kids come and jobs come and go, and here we are 10 years later with much the same objective, to be honest, which is to, look into what may be possible in terms of residential real estate portfolio. So I'm not interested in just one. I'm interested in one to start.
Okay.
And then, one of the reasons I wanted to start with the kind of smaller scale properties, just to learn the ins and outs. It's one thing to say you want to do something, it's another thing to actually go and do it.
Yeah.
And then I want to make sure that I incorporate all of the learnings therein. Pitfalls, as a white male, I learn best by doing and failing rather than by being guided, or you know what I mean. So I want to get in there and see what's what. Figure out not all, but as many pitfalls as I can as quickly as possible, and then on to the next of what I hope will be the next phase of the when I say asset accumulation in Japan phase. So now that, for me anyways, now that the job is secure and the family has started, then there's the possibility of embarking on this thing that I've wanted to embark on.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. We all well, not all of us, but most of us like to do it, and it just gobbles up a lot of your time, and so you got some projects on hold.
Well, I mean, the landscape hasn't changed that drastically, except it's pricier now. When we spoke 10 years ago, you could still get good investment properties starting at around 20, 30,000. These days it's probably more like 50-ish, at least in the metro locations where the investment kind of makes sense. You can still get super cheap in the countryside, but you're not going to get too many tenants there, right?
That's a different thing altogether. I mean, that would be fun, and this is the whole sort of mini Akiya boom seems to be happening, but I think people are getting into more than they realize. I could be wrong on that.
Yes, a lot more hands-on than people think. Yeah. Hello?
No, I don't mind being hands-on.
Oh, sorry. I thought I lost you there for a second. Sorry. You were saying?
I do like being
Yeah.
And so the amount of hands-on that I can dedicate is, in little chunks, rather than, for 3 months or 6 months at a time, which is what you need to do any kind of serious hands-on renovation project.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously outsource as much of it as you want, but then it becomes expensive, right?
And this is where I'm hoping you can, provide some initial insights into what that might look like and a whole bunch of other stuff. So,
if we're talking Akiyas, I'm assuming we're talking houses, yeah, not condo units. A complete renovation of a house could be around 10 million yen-ish if like everything needs to be done. And then depending on what it is that needs to be done, we can break that down. So like if you need to replace the entire roof, it's going to be somewhere between 2 to 4 million yen. If you need to do the complete interior, it'll be somewhere like 5 or 6 million yen. So depending on what you need done. But what budget were you thinking about? Because if you're buying like a dilapidated little Akiya for 3-4 million yen, you probably don't want to pour another 10-15 into it, right?
I mean, for this initial salvo into the market, so I'm looking for something relatively small. An apartment is fine. Just want to get the hang of it, get used to figuring out what I need to figure out in terms of setting up the bank account and dealing with the contracts and who can I...
Oh, do you have Japanese residency?
Management.
Do you have Japanese residency?
No, I no longer do.
You can't get a bank account then.
Okay, so then what do you typically recommend for your foreign buyers in terms of... I mean, you could do an online bank, but I don't think that works for...
No, same story. You need. So the thing is, all of the contractors or third parties that you work with would normally require a Japanese address certificate and a Japanese bank account and a Japanese phone number.
I used to have all those things.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, even if you still have your bank account, if you start using it and they find out that you're not in Japan, they might freeze it until you close it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we want to avoid that. So what we do for our non-resident clients is we manage their financials for them, and we're also the contact person for all of the third parties. Some of the utility companies in some areas have started accepting non-Japanese credit or debit cards for payments, but it's still very much touch and go. Not all of them do, and some of them, even if they do accept the card, they still want to see that you have a residency in Japan. So normally, for the vast majority of our clients, we handle all of that. If you happen, like if you're doing an Airbnb or anything related to short term, you'll often be working with companies that are foreigner friendly because their guests are obviously a lot of the time from overseas. So in those cases, you might have somebody that you can work with directly. You wouldn't need a middleman like us. If you're buying in central Tokyo, there are some foreigner-friendly property managers and realtors that you can work with directly, but Tokyo is not really the best investment destination, right? The yields are very flimsy there.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, eventually I want to pick up something in Tokyo, but more as like a secondary residence or tertiary residence holiday home type of thing for myself. But before that, the sort of asset accumulation phase that I alluded to at the beginning of our conversation is more the focus immediately. So
Yep.
that would be more, the areas that I've seen at least included on your website. So it's like Fukuoka, it could be Hokkaido. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me as long as one, the population is not declining, right?
Yep.
So there are not that many areas in Japan that have that.
Well, I mean, most major metropolitan centers, which was where we would normally aim for your typical long-term stay residential investment property, most of those areas would have stable or growing population. Fukuoka specifically, it grows organically. People are actually having babies. The rest of the metro centers is more a case of domestic migration. So all of the smaller townships and villages that are dying out are slowly conglomerating into the bigger cities. So all of the major the big seven definitely have stable or growing populations. Some of the secondary cities, like the prefectural capitals, like the biggest city in an otherwise rural area, or the satellite cities, bedroom communities that are within an hour to a major city and people live there because it's cheaper, those we would have to look at one by one to see what the population is doing there.
And let me ask you, not typically, what proportion of the properties that you manage for foreign clients or outsource to managers for foreign clients are, in Hokkaido or in Osaka area or in Fukuoka? I mean, I would assume that since you're based in Fukuoka, you would have the greatest number of them there, because it would be the easiest for you to, deal with directly.
Not really, because we don't manage the properties ourselves, and we're not realtors. We work with realtors and with property managers, etc. So from our perspective, it doesn't really matter where in Japan the property is. We just find the best companies that we can work with in that area, and then we use them. We got a lot of customers. When we started, Fukuoka was where it was at because prices were still very low here. It wasn't familiar, but we noticed that the city is growing. That ship has sailed. It's now very similar to Osaka. So these days we work all over the country. We have a lot of people in Sapporo specifically, not all of Hokkaido, but in Sapporo we have a lot of people with investment properties. Definitely in Fukuoka, a few in Tokyo, because again it's harder to find good deals there. A lot in Yokohama, a lot in Osaka, a good few in Kyoto, although it's harder to find condos or buildings in Kyoto. It's mostly townhouses and Airbnb properties there. Kobe is good. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I should probably say that I'm clear up front that right now I'm not looking to turn anything into a short-term rental, so more looking like for a long-term tenant, so taking over a property just for that. And could be a Japanese tenant who are generally, stay longer than the foreign tenants. So that's my kind of focus now.
That's most of our customers.
First or second or third. Yeah, there we go. So first couple that I'm looking for would be that. Get into more interesting stuff later on. Again, once I figure out how this whole process works and how much time, money, stress, etc., I'm going to have to dedicate to it.
Yeah. So again, all of those cities, of the smaller cities, Chiba City is not bad. Saitama City is not bad if you want to stay close to Tokyo. Kobe if you want to stay close to Osaka. Although I was surprised to find out that Kobe is actually losing population. I thought it was gaining. It's very popular with expats too. But as of the last census, which was 2020, so between 2015 to 2020, Kobe started losing population. That might have reversed with COVID, I'm not sure, but we don't have the 2025 census yet. Kumamoto, down here in Kyushu, Kumamoto City, which is a couple of hours south of Fukuoka. TSM? Yeah, the biggest chip manufacturer, Taiwanese, I think TSM they're called, or TMS. They set up a huge factory there, and that's bumped up the population and the transactions. Property prices not yet, so that's probably a good place to hit for potential growth in value as well, which is kind of rare in Japan.
Right now, location doesn't particularly matter to me as long as there is population growth and therefore the probability or decent probability of having a low vacancy rate. That's it. Everything else, it's not particularly important. I mean, yield like above 5 would be nice.
Just so we're on the same page, we're talking net but before tax, yeah?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that, when I engaged you first like 10 years ago, we were looking at, it's like 7 and 8. But I think those are
we saw even 12, 13 back in the day. But no, these days if we get to 6, 6.5, we're very happy these days.
Yep. And I would also be very happy with something like that as well. So let me ask you one other thing. I'm aware that there are new rules for renovations coming in. What is it? April of the current year.
Yep, that's right.
And how is that going to change things? Like, is it more red tape, or is it, what do we have to look out for?
Well, we're talking condos, right?
Where did I see this? I don't actually know.
No. I mean, your investment. You're talking condos, right?
Well, given so price point I'm looking for at this point is probably 30 to 50. So that would most likely be a condo.
It'll be a house. If it's a house, it'll be pretty dilapidated at that range. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So for
Again,
condos,
this is
the renovations, the renovation update, legislation update. I think I'm not a renovation company, so I'll have to check that. But as far as I'm aware, it's structural. I don't think for anything interior that you're doing to a condo unit it would come into play.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
And generally speaking, in Japan, not really. I mean, authorities don't really care about what to do to the interior as long as you're not adding floors and rooms and stuff like that.
Got it. I'll try not to.
Yeah, but I mean, any kind of renovation that you'll be doing, even if you're the DIY type, for the big stuff you'll need a licensed contractor to do it, and they would be on top of legislation. So I wouldn't worry about that too much unless you're planning to, single-handedly rebuild the place yourself.
No, certainly not from abroad.
Yeah.
If I were moved back, then
Yeah.
we could see.
So whoever we hire
okay.
to do that kind of work on your behalf would be on top of it. They'd have to.
Okay. What's a good general question to ask you? I had a whole list of things that I heard. So one, let me ask because you told me by email that the extent of the services that NHI provides is a little bit different than it used to be 10 years ago. So let's touch on kind of what
Yep.
all of that encompasses, i.e., what would be outsourced to you and to through you to other people, and what would I need to do on my own in order to make this first transaction kind of happen?
Well, your case is a bit unique because you engaged us and actually paid us 10 years ago. So you're an existing...
That's right, I did.
So you're an existing client. We would do what we would normally be doing, which is we do everything on your behalf, same as when you engaged us. And you just need to make bottom line decisions and talk to us. But our minimum fee has gone up for that service. So for a condo unit, our minimum is now 5%, 5% of 5 million yen. So even if you buy a unit that's under 5 million yen, we'd still charge that 250,000 yen. And for a house, it's 5% of 10 million yen, because there's a lot more work involved in that. I'm trying to remember how much you paid us. I might even have your client folder there somewhere. Let me have a quick look.
Yeah, I could look it up too. I don't know what it was, to be honest.
I think you've gone to the archive. Hang on, let me find you. Graham Ball. There you are. Found
There
you.
we are.
Yeah. So you paid us 2017, 8 years ago. Okay, not a big difference. You paid us 5% of 2 million yen. Oh yeah, no, sorry, it is a big difference. So a little bit more than double what you paid us. You paid us 108,000 yen. Our minimum these days is 250.
Okay, got it. Good to know.
So in your case, we will be doing that, but yes, we are a little bit swamped and also struggling to find bilingual bookkeepers. So for clients who haven't engaged us, yes, what we do these days until we get that sorted is I put them directly in touch with a foreigner-friendly realtor who is able to do the logistics of the purchase remotely in English on your behalf, same as we would have done. They are realtors, so by nature they're transactional. They're not gonna like the kind of talk about that we just had about which cities to invest in, what kind of property, how old it should be, what's a good profile. They're not gonna do that. So they'll supply listings based on your criteria, or you research listings and you forward it to them, and they make sure that the purchase takes place in an orderly way. So we come in as consultants for people who want us to, and for a few $100, which is also a lot cheaper than having us do everything on your behalf. We'll hold your hand through the purchase as you work with the agent, guide the agent on due diligence, review documents before you sign them, make sure that you're doing everything the right way, like without any costly mistakes.
I'm happy to do that the first time around, hold my hand the whole way. I mean, I can probably read most of the contracts and probably interact with the agents generally okay in Japanese.
Oh no, they'll be English speaking. No, the people I'll put you in touch with will be people that we've vetted, foreigner friendly English speakers, documentation in English. That's not going to be a concern. Yeah, and if you want to go that way, then you don't need to add anything. What you've paid us will suffice.
Oh, okay. And then the alternative?
The alternative is for us to do everything on your behalf, in which case you will need to pay us more, not now, but on settlement, depending on the property price, but you'll need to pay us at least another 242,000 yen. Even if the property is less than 5 million yen, that would be our minimum. And if it's more than that, then it's 5% of whatever the cost was.
Okay, got it. I mean, I don't mind that. I would just want to learn as much as I can.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at your invoice from back then, because we estimated that you're going to be buying something for 2 million yen. That's what we charged you for. I don't know any good investment properties for 2 million yen anymore.
No, indeed. Yeah, it'll be a little bit more. Again, right now I'm looking for something, like I said, something between 30 and 50K USD-ish. So somewhere in there should be something decent, again, to start. Once I figure out what is going on.
What's 50K in yen at the moment? About 7 million? Oh no, 9 million, I think.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look at.
Let me have a quick look. That's interesting, actually. 50,000 US in Japanese yen is 7.6 million yen.
Okay.
Oh, looks like the yen took a bit of a dive just recently, a bit of a hike just recently.
It did. It's back to low 150s, but that's still, a big difference from 4 or 5 years ago when it was getting closer to parity. But anyways.
Yeah. So that's a decent investment condo unit, unless it's central Tokyo. Yeah.
Yeah. Not Tokyo yet.
So 7.6 million in most major cities. 7.6 million will buy you something either a bit larger than your typical closet kind of studio, so you would be able to maybe fit a couple or a small family in there, or alternatively stick to the studios but get closer to the city center, which is a lot better for tenant base. But we interrupt this broadcast to tell you about Tokyo Family Stays. They're a short-term rentals company in Tokyo, and they offer a home away from home experience, which is just perfect for remote working, quarantining, if that's still a thing, or if you just need somewhere quiet to get away from the world. They offer a variety of options for families, corporate relocations, or even if you're simply transitioning between homes in Tokyo. The properties are super comfortable, tastefully furnished, fully equipped with all amenities, and they accommodate up to 10 people. So really the only thing you'll need to bring with you is your toothbrush and maybe a change of clothes. They come with fast unlimited wireless internet, dedicated workspaces, and fully equipped kitchens, and they're just a delight to stay in. Fantastic alternative to Japanese business hotels, which if you've ever stayed in one, you probably know they're tiny, they're noisy, fine for a night or two if you're on your own, but longer term or with a family, you'll probably feel you're in a jail cell very quickly in a Japanese business hotel. So if you want to give yourself a sense of space and freedom by renting a real home with comfortable Western beds, including all the necessities like baby bedding, children's toys, high chairs, etc., you definitely want to reach out to Tokyo Family Stays. They've been at it for over a decade. They're a fully licensed minpaku or short-term stay operator. And as a special bonus for our viewers and listeners, they're also throwing in a breakfast basket upon arrival for anyone who books and mentions the Japan Real Estate Podcast or NTI. And not only for guests, if you're a property owner, you've got an investment property that you want to tweak for higher profit, or a holiday home that you want to rent out when you're not using it via short-term stays, drop them a line today, see how they can help you maximize your property's income. And again, as a special bonus to our viewers and listeners, they're also offering a free audit of your existing short-term stay listings without any obligation whatsoever. So feel free to reach out to them at tokyofamilystays.com. Well worth a visit. And again, if you're in the market for a family home in or around the Tokyo metropolitan area, Emil's your man. Don't be shy to reach out to him as well at sales@realestate.jp. And now, back to the podcast. Definitely doable.
Sense.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So that part's taken care of. We should be able to do something relatively okay. And then you would hire someone to do collection of rents, or you would maintain a bank account, or like how does that work?
For our customers who do use us for everything, we receive their income and pay their expenses from our own bank accounts, and we provide them with an annual statement. And then whenever you tell us to, we just wire the anything accrued to you.
Got it. Okay. I don't know if that's the right way to do it this time. Maybe it is. But I'm just, again, so unfamiliar with all the kind of monthlies, what happens and what doesn't
Well,
happen.
what are your other options though? If you can't open a bank account, what other way do we have?
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard some of these online banks are offering some pretty decent services, but I'm not.
Yeah, but they're still they're
Japanese.
Japanese. They're Japanese online banks. They still need you to be a resident to let you open an account.
Fair. Okay. So I guess that's the way we'll have to go then.
Yeah, I mean they're great. I'm with Sony Bank myself. I wouldn't trade them for the world. They're very convenient and English, English tech support if I need anything. But they still require you to be a resident, unfortunately.
Okay. So let me ask you this then: for property rent in the range that I'm thinking about, 30 to 50K, what are we talking about? Do you think in terms of annual carrying costs for that property, assuming some sort of typical vacancy rate?
Sorry, are you asking about fees or about vacancies?
The cost to upkeep the property itself. So property taxes, incidentals, your fees. Do you have an estimate of what that would look like, just kind of overall?
So the property managers charge 5%, 5 plus tax, so 5.5% of the gross rental income.
5% of gross rent. Okay.
Yeah. About any deals we'll analyze, we'll factor all of that. Everything that I'm going to say now, we're going to factor in. So when we look at the bottom line yield, that's again assuming that we've found something that with all these fees will generate hopefully 5 to 6%. We'll try to get as close to 6 as we can. We charge for portfolio management. We charge a minimum of 1 monthly hour, or 2% if it's higher, but in your case it's going to be the 1 monthly hour, I think, because the rental income is probably going to be what, $200-300 a month, not more than that. And our hourly rate is 4,000 yen plus tax, so 4,400 per month for managing a single door. Property tax for these units is going to be a few $100s a year normally.
Okay, so nothing you really need to worry about.
No. Insurance is very cheap in Japan. That's going to cost you like $500, hopefully a lot less, maybe $300 to $500 for a 5-year policy. So very cheap.
Got it.
You'll also want landlord insurance, which is about somewhere under $50 a year. Pretty cheap as well.
Okay, and I assume you have like a list of these or an
we'll put if we're managing it for you, we'll put all of that in place for you.
Okay. Very good.
And then building fees vary a lot, so there's not really any rule of thumb except to say it's going to be somewhere between, I don't know, $70 to $200 a month. But again, we'll factor all of that in when we calculate the yield, so we'll make sure that it still stays within that 5-6% range if we can. And then vacancies, I mean, I can give you statistics, but if you're going to be owning a single unit and you're not going to be owning it for a very long time, those statistics can be hugely skewed because you might have a tenant move in 3 months after settlement, or they might stay in place for, I don't know, another 10 years. Japanese tenants do stay in place a long time often. So it's hard for me to say, but if somebody had a slightly larger portfolio over a longer period of time, I'd say put about 10% of your income aside for vacancy and maintenance expenses.
Okay. I can use that as a rule of thumb. For sure. Okay, a couple more exotic questions.
Yep.
For you, if you don't mind. So, one, does NTI provide support for inquiries into the foreclosure market? I know you need to show me.
No, we avoid that because it's a very, you have to live there somewhere next to court and go there in person, and it's a closed auction in the sense that you can't up your offer. Like, you submit your offer in a sealed envelope and you either get it or you don't if somebody offered more. And also you're buying a cat in the bag because most of the time, you're not going to have much information about the property. I mean, it's a bargain. You either take it and find out what's in behind door number 2 kind of thing, or you don't.
Got it. Okay.
So we don't deal with that. There used to be a company called Sleepwell Homes in Tokyo. I'm not sure if they're still operating. There was another one in Osaka that are called Japan Foreclosures or something like that. I haven't worked with them though, so I can't tell you anything about how reliable they are. I'm sorry.
Sure. No, understood. Again, it's a bit of an exotic question. The other exotic question is, in order to qualify for Japanese lender loans for an investment property, do you need to have collateral, one, and two, do you need to have residency, two? And if the answer to the first one is yes and the second one is no, then I would say, would an all-cash purchase qualify as a piece of collateral to use against getting some kind of investment loan?
So the first question is easier to answer. They're not exotic at all, by the way. A lot of people ask that. The first question is easier to answer. Japanese lenders generally look at your income rather than collateral. So they want to see that you can make your mortgage payments rather than that they can foreclose on your property. They don't want to do that.
Does it have to be Japanese income? Do you have to have...
Yes, income stream in Japan. Yes, they don't care about... And I mean, they would potentially consider your collateral as you know, might be able to let you potentially borrow a little bit more or a little bit more lenient on the profile of the property if you have collateral, but that collateral also needs to be in Japan. They don't care about what you have overseas.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in any case, to qualify for the loan, you'll need a Japanese income stream. That'll be the first hurdle. And generally speaking, you also need residency. There are a few lenders that will give you a loan if you're not a resident. There is a bank in Singapore, UOB, I think, that will give you loans for a condo. Let me just open the brochure. This is as of a few years ago. I haven't spoken to them in a while, so I'm not sure if they're still doing it or if it's changed. But as of a few years ago, let me just open that folder. Where are they? UOB, yeah, Singapore Bank, UOB. So according to their fact sheet, minimum 200,000 Singapore or equivalent. And you'll need to put down 30-40%. So that's kind of doable in your budget, I think. Let me just have a quick look. 200,000 of which you put down, let's say worst case 40%. So you'd need to put down 80,000 Sing, which at the moment is 60,000 US. So kind of borderline with your budget, probably a bit over your budget.
Yeah, okay.
And they only do condo units though, not landed properties. So only non-landed properties. Tokyo, Yokohama, Osaka, Kyoto, and Fukuoka. So kind of the same locations that we normally consider anyway. And then there's a couple of Japanese lenders that will do it too, but they would require you to set up a corporate structure in Japan and appoint a Japanese resident as CEO, which is an overhead.
That's a future endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, at your budget, that's an overhead that you probably don't want to pay because that's going to be like 3,000-4,000.
No, that's what I mean. That would be a future thing.
Yeah.
I remember this gentleman's name, Saito-san, who's your CPA.
Oh, not for a while, but yeah. So the guy who spoke at the conference, you mean?
Yeah, the guy who spoke at the conference.
Yeah. Tracy works with him. We work with other accountants. Tracy works with him. She's very happy with him.
Yeah, he had some good ideas, I think, about how to structure that in order to minimize liability for inheritance taxes and other things. So,
yeah, that's all very valid, but at higher budget.
Yeah, exactly. So right now, not looking for that, but that is kind of a future scheme that may come to fruition if I can figure out how to make all this early stuff kind of work out and then build on it over time.
Well, I mean, if that is a consideration, just bear in mind that if and when you'll want to transfer the properties over from your name to the company name, you'll have to pay the purchase tax.
Yeah.
Purchase tax, because the purchase contract has to be for a real amount. You can't sell it for $1.
If only, right? If only.
Yeah. So if that's a consideration, maybe it does make sense to set up a company beforehand. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, if this one's only about 30-50K USD, so, transferring that and eating the land transfer taxes or whatever on a sale.
Well, if and when you'll want to change ownership, bear in mind a couple of $1,000 per property that you'll be changing over.
Yeah, understood. I just too much family stuff right now. I don't think I could get everything up and running, and then get the subsidiary in Japan started, and then start to. It's the future endeavor.
Yep.
Cool. You mentioned UOB.
Unless, sorry. One thing I forgot to mention. Unless you happen to have Chinese, Taiwanese, or Hong Kong residency, because there are some of their banks in Japan will give you a loan.
I was going to say Starbank does that.
Yeah, Taiwan, right?
Taiwan, but you need to have residency. Okay.
As far as I know, I haven't spoken to them. Might be worth checking.
Okay. Yeah, sure. No,
the reason I can't give you that much information about lenders is because they don't work with proxies. They'll always want to talk to the buyers directly. We can't represent people. We can't represent people on their behalf.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I'll have to figure something out there. But yeah, I'm assuming all of them.
Sorry, give me a second. There's somebody here who doesn't get the idea of messaging before calling. Sorry, I'm with you.
Yeah, no problem. I was going to try to think if there were any other banks that might be offering similar types of loans for people who may not necessarily have Japan residency, which I probably won't have for some time.
Yeah.
And is there a Japanese equivalent of what in the US they call the 1031 exchange?
Well, if you tell me what that is, I'll tell you.
See if I can. But I believe that's where you, when you get a loan for a property, but you put it into sorry. No, I'm gonna have to look it up.
I see it. To defer capital gains tax, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Capital gains tax has not been so far a huge consideration for any of our clients because properties have gone up here in the last few years, but not to a level where capital gains tax would be a real consideration.
Okay.
Short answer is I have no idea. That's something to ask an accountant, I think.
Okay. AI here is telling me that you can't really do it. So okay. Very good. Well, let's talk a little bit operational logistics. How do we make this happen? 30 to 50K, something 5 to 6% ish net yield.
If you want to get started sooner rather than later, and you're okay with the consulting route rather than us doing everything on your behalf, we can get started anytime you want. So I'll get you to WhatsApp me a list of that criteria that we've just discussed, and I'll copy and paste that into a WhatsApp chat group with whichever realtor we decide will be most available and most suitable, and we'll get it going.
That seems easy enough.
Yeah. Are you well, it's an investment property, so I think better let the agent search for us rather than there are some English resources that are very good for people who are looking for holiday homes, but for investment properties there's two major, if you want to have a look yourself, because you're okay with Japanese, right? I mean you can translate the pages anyway, but Rakumachi and Kenbiya are the two major investment property websites. I'll send you the links here on WhatsApp now. You can start having a browse there. I would look for stuff that is 30 years and younger on purchase.
Yeah, right. For the earthquake.
As they get closer to 40 years of age is when building fees start going up more rapidly, and that's where That's when their value starts declining, because the properties you'll be looking at are investment properties. They're never going to be bought by an owner occupier, right? Somebody who can afford to buy these properties doesn't want to live in a closet, and vice versa. The tenants who can, the tenants who have to live in those spaces don't have the money to purchase them, right? So because those are strictly investment properties, the people buying them are investors, and they would always evaluate the price based on yield. So as they get to 40 years and beyond that, and building fees start rising, the yield starts dropping, and that's where their value starts kind of falling off a cliff, or not quite, but definitely getting there. So you want to consider...
That's a very important piece of advice.
Yes, so you want to consider reselling before they hit 40, which means that you want to get at least 5, 6, 7 years out of them. That's why we're aiming for 30 and younger.
Okay, so and that's in general, 40 years seems to be the cutoff?
40 years is when they start losing value more rapidly, so we want to resell them before then. So we're aiming to buy them 30 years and younger, or as close to that as we can get within the budget, and resell them before that. So when they hit 37, 38, we want to start considering reselling them. Well, we do have some customers who just ride them till they drop kind of thing, and they don't really care how much they sell them for eventually. Just, whenever they're not really comfortable with the yield anymore, they just sell it for whatever that they can get. So that's kind of a strategy as well if you want to pursue that. But I mean, older buildings are less attractive to tenants too. So the 30-year mark for purchase is probably not a bad idea with condo units.
Got it. No, that's helpful. Very helpful. All right.
So you can browse those two websites. They're the best for investment properties because because they're geared towards investors, they present the yield and all the fees in a very clear, structured manner. Whereas with the general property websites, you have to browse through the listings a lot until you find the numbers that you're looking for.
Okay, got it.
And you can filter based on yield, stuff that you just can't do with a normal property website. So those two are probably a good place to start browsing. Keep in mind the cities that we've discussed. Don't go like too rural.
Yeah, not interested to go rural.
Yeah, and then whether you find anything on there or not, we can also ask the agent that will be in touch with the research.
Sure. So as long as we get the criteria together, that would kickstart the process.
Correct.
Of searching, and then we just take it from there.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Seems relatively straightforward. And then if we get to the sort of payment stage, any preferred way to do that from a foreign bank account to your, I guess it'll go to you or to the realtor? How does
so for smaller amounts, Wise is the way to go. Do you have a Wise account?
Okay. Yeah. I don't, but it'll be simple.
Oh, that's excellent, actually, because I'll give you my referral link, and then we'll both get some bonuses. Give me a second.
Oh, very good.
And for the bigger transfers, like the property purchase itself, I would go with OFX, because Wise are limited in Japan to 1 million yen remittances. So every time you use them for something beyond 1 million yen, the fees start growing exponentially. And beyond 2 million yen, they don't really make sense anymore. So bigger transfers, you want to sign up with OFX. What we normally do, what our customers normally do, is they sign up with both, and then they just use one or the other depending on the amount they're transferring.
Got it.
I'll send you both referral links. With OFX specifically, they're a bigger, more serious company. They handle larger remittances, so their compliance is a bit stricter. But it also, if you sign up through our link, you also get access to our corporate account manager, which is very handy to have when you're dealing with settlement deadlines and you want to make sure the money gets there on time.
Gotcha. Sounds very helpful. Okay, got those links for me.
Yep.
There we go. Super. Cool.
And then the way we would be doing it is, if we were doing it full purchase facilitation, it'd be us. But in this case, the buyer side agent, the one that you'll be working with, will receive all of the funds from you in bulk and distribute them domestically to where they need to go. Seller, property lawyer, tax department, whatever. And their own fee they'll deduct from that as well. So that'll be so that you don't have to make international transfers for each and every party.
Okay, very good. And would it be NTI that provides the deal analyzer, or would it be the agents themselves that do that, or how would we?
They will try to do that, but they're not, sorry to the agents, they're not really good at that.
Okay.
If you look at the Japanese property websites, the yields that they write there don't take into account the purchase cost, the management cost, nothing. So it's very, like if it's a condo unit, whatever you see on these websites, you want to take 4 or 5% off. We will provide you, if we're doing the consulting, then we will provide you with the template, and then you'll punch all the numbers in there yourself, and you'll see what the yield works out to be.
Okay. I think that's most. I think that's most of the questions answered. I mean, I think the other questions will arise, as we move forward with the process. But I think this seems fairly straightforward, and seems that I'm fairly limited in what I'm able to do from overseas, which is not surprising.
Well, that's the reason for our existence, right there. But yeah, I think we've covered most of the basics. We'll have a lot more toing and froing when we're looking at individual listings, but that probably covers the infrastructure, the basics, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Good.
So I'll wait for you to send me that summary of the criteria, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. Give me, I don't know, maybe a week or two to play around with the websites and see what's there and get a sense of it. But I'll provide it to you as soon as I can, and we'll be off to the races.
Awesome. WhatsApp is best for me, but if you do want to send me something via email, just ping me on WhatsApp to tell me that you sent it to me, because I only get to email once a week or two these days.
Okay, got it.
Awesome. Look forward to hearing from you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for your time, Ziv, and happy to bring 10 years back. Actually,
8. We figured it out. 8.
8. Sorry, 8. You're right. 8.
Awesome.
Very good.
Talk to you soon.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. All right, that was a good one, wasn't it? I hope this episode gave you a good kind of head-to-toe outlook on the entire property investment process here in the land of the rising sun, how it works in general, what's involved, fees and yield-wise, and how to actually hands-on handle the research, deal analysis, purchase, and management processes. So let us know what you thought about it. And again, huge thank you to everyone who joined us last weekend at the 5th Japan Real Estate Summit in Tokyo and online. Can't wait to share what we're cooking up for you this coming October at our 6th event. And of course, to share all of last week's content with you. We will have all of that ready for you very, very soon. Now, before we go, we're also, as always, going to tell you and also link to our other sponsor's website. That's Hiroshi Shimizu, immigration lawyer and administrative scrivener. If you're thinking about moving here on a more permanent basis, or you're already in Japan on some sort of a temporary visa and you want to switch to a longer term or permanent one, or if you're considering setting up a local company or a branch office of a foreign company and you've got any sort of business or visa related inquiries, or even if you just want to find out what your options are on any of these topics, feel free to contact Hiroshi Shimizu. You can find him at japanimmigrationexperts.com, and he can help you set up a company, apply for any kind of visa, or just provide you with the best advice and extremely affordable consultation related to these topics. And he's already done that for many of our listeners. So feel free to reach out to him. Again, that's japanimmigrationexperts.com, and you'll be well on your way. And that's it from us for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Japan Real Estate Podcast. Do share it with your networks, and please let us know what you think. So leave us a short rating or review on the iTunes Store, on Spotify, or just drop us a line in the comment section or wherever you might have found this episode. We love hearing from you. Hope to have you with us again next time, and until then, have a great day or night ahead. Yoroshiku.